The dictionary defines the word monolith as something having a uniform, massive, redoubtable, or inflexible quality of character. And that is something we don't represent our historical figures as anymore. Mahatma Gandhi, despite being the leading figure of our freedom movement, is now considered to be a raging racist against anyone who had the misfortune of being darker than him. Savarkar, for all his pitiful and divisive ideologies, is still considered to be a freedom fighter who has suffered more for the country than you or I ever will. And Ram Das Athavale, despite dozing off at every budget presentation, is still India's best union budget reviewer
Important budget, very nice budget, very best budget.
and its leading COVID disinfectant.
Go, Karuna, go, Karuna, go, Karuna, Karuna, go, Karuna, go, Karuna, go.
However, what if I told you there certainly is a leading historical figure who has since his death only been portrayed as that? A monolith. Not with any wrong intention, of course, but just so that every political party under the sun can keep on using his memory for themselves until the sun blasts or something. I don't know. What if I told you that this beloved leader would probably not like the India we are today? Or what we ever were since the day he was sentenced to the gallows, and you, dear viewer, would probably also hate him too. This leader I'm talking about is none other than oh my god, Bhagat Singh. I'm talking about those of you who haven't heard the name Bhagat Singh. Firstly, what's wrong with you? Secondly, he was a freedom fighter who worked along with other popular revolutionaries in the 1920s and early 1930s like Chandrasekhar-Azad, Sukhdev and other prominent members of the HSRA. However, that is all that most people know about him anymore. His name, that he campaigned for an armed struggle, and for some weird reason that Mahatma Gandhi wanted him dead. All of which are bad reasons to remember him for. We are never taught the ideals of Bhagat Singh or what led him down the road he chose, about his issues with the trade dispute bill and how he ultimately, along with Batukeshwar Dutt, bombed the Legislative Assembly for it. It's almost as if Bhagat Singh was the kid from Chain Kuli Ki Main Kuli who entered our lives randomly one day and briefly made us believe in the power we all possess in ourselves, despite losing our Kapil Dev-owned special bat and promptly disappeared again. Where is that kid? Anyway, there's a good reason for it. Had Bhagat done the same things today under the very same circumstances, he would be an extremely hated figure in the national discourse. And here's why. Oh, and before I dive into it, Gandhi very definitely did not want to have Singh killed. He was among the many who wrote to the Viceroy asking for the SIT set up to fast-track Bhagat's trial be disbanded, calling it a veiled form of martial law. It was just plain martial law anyways, which existed with the sole goal of providing Bhagat and his comrades the harshest punishment in the shortest span of time. Did Gandhi like Bhagat Singh? I mean, with Bhagat's enthusiasm for a violent overthrow of the British, along with his goal of breaking existing hierarchies in Indian society while also advocating for a nation to turn to rationalism and not God as a source of motivation for an independence movement. Certainly Gandhi wasn't a fan, but did he want him killed? Just maybe not. And that indeed is the first reason why you would hate him, because, dear Indian, did you know that Bhagat Singh was an atheist? A real one, in fact, unlike the many today who choose the label to mock other religions while being able to shield off any criticism thrown at their own. A religious atheist, you see.
Half Muslim now. Atheist means half kalma, La ilaha.
But Singh wasn't one of those. Born into an Arya Samaj's family, Singh did his basic education in a school affiliated with the Samaj. It was only later when he entered college as a young man that he started questioning his own belief in God. In his writings, Singh openly talks about his path away from God as he went further on his academic journey. As a young political worker, Singh was often turned off by revolutionaries, his seniors using God as a guiding light for their movement instead of their own actions. In his essay, Why I'm an Atheist, he talks about his general uneasiness about even revolutionary-minded leaders leading our independence movement down a path where God played a significant role. Mind you, it was not because he was despised or repulsed by God, but because he was aware of the end result such a movement might have, namely creating a populace that relies on a single larger-than-life figure to lead the way and, by extension, carry the load. Quote, criticism and independent thinking are two indispensable qualities of a revolutionary. Because Mahatma Ji is great, therefore no one should criticize him. Because he has risen above, therefore everything he says, maybe in the field of politics or religion, economics or ethics, is right. Whether you are convinced or not, you must say, yes, that's true. This mentality does not lead towards progress. It is rather too obviously reactionary. Thankfully, people have never done that with a leader even once since our independence. Oh, would comrade be proud? Remember how I said at the start that you would hate him too? Well, even back then, Singh was very well aware about the consequences of such life choices, writing in the very same essay, quote, "You go and oppose the prevailing faith, you go and criticize a hero, a great man who is generally believed to be above criticism because he is thought to be infallible. The strength of your argument shall force the multitude to decry you as vainglorious, and vainglorious meaning बहुत ज़्यादा चर्बी छड़ना in the Gora Angrezi." This is the reason you won't see many political parties who need God as their star campaigner cite him as someone to look up to, be it a Hindu nationalist, an Islamist, or even Punjab's own Khalistanis. And he was a dedicated atheist. The biggest proof of this lies in his final days when many of the senior leaders serving time in jail with him tried to lead him back to God, a suggestion that Singh always denied. His reasoning was sound and has everything to do with Bhagat Singh. It was courageous. Quote, "I wanted to settle for myself whether it was in the days of peace and enjoyment alone that I could boast of being an atheist, or whether during such hard times as well, I could stick to those principles of mine. After great consideration, I decided that I could not lead myself to believe in and pray to God. No, I never did. That was the real test and I came out successful." And he was 23 when he had such strong principles. Truly, a beacon for the Yuva Netas of today. Well, if you don't hate him already, Bhagat Singh was also a dedicated communist. Kind of. If we believe the current thought leaders of India, communists are the third biggest parasites in this country, third only to the Christians and Muslims. And why wouldn't you believe that? Since those are the same dirty communists who run the state that helped ISIS take away 32,000 of their own women, as depicted in this very well-researched and certainly very well-made film. With 32,000 Mallu women being the majority of its 40,000 foreign fighters, no wonder ISIS lost. This is the only time in history where hiring Andrew Tate as a recruitment officer would have helped anyone.
Please, give me a man. Give me an old man who's in the military, done a lot of years. It's getting bumpy. I need to have confidence. Like I have some chick up there doing her lipstick. No.
Since we're on the topic of movies, if you're like me, the very first time you were really introduced to Bhagat Singh would have been with the movie The Legend of Bhagat Singh. In it, right before he was to be led to the gallows, Ajay Devgan can be seen reading an autobiography of Lenin.
2 minute jailer साहब, Lenin के बारे में पढ़ रहा हूँ.
This was in fact what Singh was doing actually in his very last moments. See, despite the heavy suppression, the contribution made by communists and the ideology's influence on our independence has been quite remarkable. You see, unlike some guy with a bunch of thoughts, communists in India were actually a part of the freedom struggle and had to sacrifice some things. And though Singh himself didn't explicitly join the party, he was certainly inspired on his revolutionary road by famous communists of his time. You see, the ideology of communism has to always inherently be anti-imperialist and anti-capitalist. Since India had been under the clutches of both the Raj and the company, it's not tough to see why the words of a Trotsky, Marx or Lenin would have such a strong impact on the young man.
Середняк – это такой крестьянин, который не эксплуатирует чужого труда, не живет чужим трудом, не пользуется ни в какой мере, никоим образом.
During the research for this video, I found out certain YouTube channels make claims such as Singh never being a communist, and just because he cited some communist sources doesn't make him one, and lastly, that had he lived long enough, he would have just gotten disillusioned with the idea of communism itself, which is certainly in line to the big stretches that people need to make in order to blurry the idea of Bhagat Singh. During one of his court appearances in the Lahore conspiracy case, Singh and his fellow comrades attended in red scarves, not orange, and shouted out this following message on Lenin Day, not Savarkar Day. On Lenin Day, we send hearty greetings to all who are doing something for carrying forward the legacy of the great Lenin. We wish success to the great experiment Russia is carrying out. We join our voice to that of the international working class movement. The proletariat will win. Capitalism will be defeated. Death to imperialism. If this wasn't enough, Singh, while in prison, also called on his friend Jaideep Gupta to deliver him a few books, and notice if you see a pattern here. These were in fact the very books Singh was reading, waiting in his jail cell while he most certainly knew that the end of the road was near. He didn't back down then from his communist ideals, he wouldn't have later either. This idea that Bhagat Singh would have been disillusioned with communism is always played up by right-wing forces in order to associate his image more in favor of them, or at least create the image that they always wanted of him. A violent revolutionary, and that's it.
Those who have read Bhagat Singh's writings will know exactly what I'm talking about. And those who speak about Bhagat Singh without understanding what he believed and what he stood for, I'm sorry to say that Bhagat Singh would never have supported the BJP because he was a strongly committed atheist and a fan of Lenin. So I don't think that the BJP should necessarily have many ideas about Bhagat Singh. Perhaps they got them from Bollywood.
Singh could have been a lifelong communist had he lived. He could have joined the Congress and competed in elections for them. For all we know, he might have gotten disillusioned with the idea of India and just become a Naxal. It's not our place to speculate. This sort of hypothetical makes no sense and is in the same realm as arguing that if Bhagat Singh would have had wheels and an electricity-powered engine, he'd be the Vande Bharat Express. Although, Singh doesn't have the tendency to break down. And while we're on the topic of hype jobs breaking down, these same people will also try to cling on to the reputation of Bhagat Singh, using his words as validation for Savarkar. See, just because he admired his patriotism doesn't mean Singh would have agreed with his theocratic tendencies. Citing a few lines from a below-par freedom fighter who clearly had the option to and did choose the easy way out is not the same as being molded by an ideology that you certainly live by. Many would counter the statement by pointing out that Singh was inspired by pre-imprisonment Savarkar and not after his mercy petitions to the British. And to this, I would like to read out an excerpt Bhagat wrote to his very own father where he tried to plead with the tribunal to increase a few days more to his son's life. Quote, "Had any other person done it, it would have been considered to be nothing short of treachery. But in your case, let me say that it has been a weakness of the worst type. This was the time where everybody's mettle was being tested. Let me say, Father, you have failed. I know you are as sincere a patriot as one can be. I know you have devoted your life to the cause of Indian independence. But why, at this moment, have you displayed such weakness? I cannot understand." It is not that I'm being disrespectful to a man that I refer to as a freedom fighter at the start of this video. I just have an issue with someone who clearly lacked the commitment to the movement being pushed ahead as it's supposed to be. All because it helps a certain political party or ideology in the present. Why look any further? Mahavir Singh Rathore, an associate of Bhagat Singh, was also entered in the very same and desolate and brutal Andaman Cellular Jail. He was the one who drove the getaway car helping Bhagat Singh and Rajguru escape after they had avenged Lala Lajpat Rai's death. In 1929, Mahavir Singh was jailed at the Andaman where he and his fellow socialists were tortured for every living second. This would go on until 1933 where he was finally killed off by the brutality of the British Raj, reportedly while being forced fed. Guess how many mercy petitions were written by this man? 0.
देखो पिटीशन कुछ भी लिख सकते हैं लेकिन उसकी भाषा पे होता है माने उस पे उन्होंने जिस तरह की भाषा का इस्तेमाल किया कि अंग्रेज सरकार जैसे माई बाप हो मुझे कुछ भी काम करने को कहे मैं करूंगा अगर मेरा जेल में रहना बेकार है मुझे मौका दीजिए कि मैं जाके सेवा कर सकूं नौजवानों को सही रास्ते पे ला सकूं क्रांति के रास्ते से दूर कर सकूं इस तरह की चीजें उसमें लिखी हुई हैं.
So the next time you see someone trying to appropriate this image of Bhagat Singh, unless it's surrounded by the red flag, Bhagat probably wouldn't stand for it. Our history books that you may complain teach an awful lot about the Mughals is also surprisingly inept when it comes to teaching us about the real history of icons such as Bhagat. The reason is quite simple. You can't as a politician want any of your followers or voter base to know more about people like Bhagat. Young people who are aware of the realities of the country and what challenges an independent India would face. This ranged from the existing communal tensions, of course, and much more importantly to Bhagat, the unequal representation of upper class and upper caste members in our freedom movement. And how did he wish to fight that? All of this talk has just been leading to this. See, apart from a communist, an atheist and an all-around bad boy, Bhagat Singh at his core was a revolutionary. He was a young man growing up in a colonial world and he very well believed that without a complete reshaping of not just our society but also every individual's mind, our people were destined to be idealistic slaves for the rest of their lives. If not for the British, then for the very worst amongst our own. In a way, he saw that the issues that a future independent India would face would be coming from the political class, who naturally inclined to be bourgeoisie or in simple language, Amir Baap ke aulad. Because no matter how much you deny or sing their praises, Most freedom fighters we know today and or got into positions of power post 1947 were probably born into families of relatively immense wealth, and by that fact alone were alienated to the realities of every Indian living below their means. Basically, Singh was afraid of the ultimate direction that the INC or Indian elites back then would take the newly independent country on. He wanted to fight it too, but unlike cowards who used a firearm on an aging, somewhat questionable icon, Bhagat proposed fighting these ideas with the mentality of perpetual revolution. Quote, the sense in which we use the word revolution in that phrase is that the spirit, the longing for a change for the better. The people generally get accustomed to the established order of things and begin to tremble at the very idea of change. It is this lethargic spirit that needs to be replaced by the revolutionary spirit. Otherwise, degeneration gains the upper hand and the whole humanity is led stray by the reactionary forces. Old order should change always and ever, yielding place to new, so that one good order may not corrupt the world. It is in this sense that we raise the shout, "Long live revolution" or "Inqilab Zindabad." He knew that the very foundations of India's legal and justice system would require a complete overhaul so that it doesn't remain just a tool used to subjugate and neutralize the poor or for the wealthy to subjugate us, the brokies. This idea of a more dignified existence that he wished for India extended even to the lowest amongst us. You see, even while in prison under the torture he suffered, Singh was only thinking of the road ahead. Writing in a letter to his compatriot Sukhdev about what the ultimate goal of the prison stay should be, he wrote, "You know that it is the suffering of the political prisoners in the jails of Russia that caused, in the main, the revolution in the prison administration of the overthrow of the Tsardom. Is India not in need of such persons who are fully aware of this problem and have personal experience of those things? It will not suffice to say that someone else would do it, or that many people are there to do it." People like Bhagat, who generally display such strong ideals at a young age, will always have their heart go out to the oppressed regardless of class or caste, which alone would have made someone like him a prime target in today's political environment. Just take a look at how students, farmers, pensioners, members of opposition and now even wrestlers are treated, not just by those in power but common people among you and me, who will defend these authoritarian acts without a second thought, and you will start understanding how different the legacy of Comrade Bhagat would have been were he born a century later. The India that Bhagat last saw with his own eyes is sadly more or less the same, and would have made his blood boil were he to see it. Sure, we may have decorated our urban landscape with hellishly tall and equally empty buildings, but the same emptiness also resides in all of our people. Be it the constant need to find another to demonize, the steadily dropping worth of a human life, or even just our general passiveness when one is taken away right in front of our eyes. These are all changes that a 23-year-old revolutionary wished to see in his nation. If this weren't enough by itself, the abysmal distribution of wealth in this country, where an officer can allegedly drain a dam to retrieve his phone, while mothers in central India walk miles to have access to something as basic as drinking water, and you will understand how the Legislative Assembly would have been bombed and showered with pamphlets again. It is absurd to me as I watch reactionaries constantly try and use his name for leverage, while trying their best to hide what he actually stood for.
जो भगत सिंह साहब को अपना भगवान मानता रब मान दिया, हम सब आतंकवादी हैं फिर तो बे।
Obviously, Bhagat Singh isn't the only leader who has been whitewashed in history. Many nationalist figures have. But a point to remember is that Singh and people like him who actually contributed to free us from the shackles of the British Raj were Indian nationalists, not fighting for the supremacy of any religion, but their motherland and every single person in it. Anyone trying to tell you otherwise is either a little slow in the head or just lying to you. It's not easy to come to terms with misconceptions we've harbored since our childhood. The image of Bhagat Singh being a one-man army who was ready to bomb the British out of India is one of them. The powers that be have always wanted you to focus on the 2 acts of violence that Singh was involved in during his life, rather than the hundreds of pages of his own words that lay out his thoughts. Because a thinking populace is a dangerous one. I would like to end this by saying, do not believe what I have told you, but instead go and read what Shaheed Bhagat Singh wrote himself. In his own words, quote, Please do not read it to follow blindly and take for granted what is written in it. Read, criticize, think over it, and form your own ideas with its help.